What's up, guys? Welcome to Touchdown Talk, where everything and anything football goes. Here we go. We're going to be recapping all the news from this past weekend and all the way up till Monday afternoon. We had a bit of a news, not too much. We kicked off Monday morning with the Seahawks signing defensive tackle Brian Monroe to a 2-year, $12 million deal that includes a $1.5 million signing bonus per Tom Pelissero. So Seattle, they re-sign one of their guys. They get a deal done with the defensive tackle to really help out that team who's kind of in a rebuild stage, getting rid of key players like Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson. So a lot going on in Seattle right now. They get a defensive tackle to help out that defense. Next up, we had a bit of an update on Odell Beckham. Now, Jeremy Fowler reported that the Rams don't expect Odell to be healthy until October or maybe even November, as far as a full go back from his ACL. Now, we saw Odell tear his ACL in the Super Bowl. He was on his way to maybe a Super Bowl MVP the way he was playing early in that game, but tearing his ACL for the second time now. So now Odell not expected to be back for the Rams, so it looks like they are going to re-sign him and are trying to get a deal done with him. But if they don't expect him back till October, November, that's really going to be towards the end of the season. So maybe a low-end deal, maybe a one-year deal for Odell, see how he plays coming back from the ACL, or maybe the Rams wait. But it's going to be interesting to see if the Rams bring him back now that they think he won't be able to return to the field till October or even November. Then we had a bit of a news on a wide receiver who I think is definitely a wide receiver number one, a true number one wide receiver, and that is Rashod Bateman. Now, Bateman spoke with reporters. Now, Matt Cohen of the Baltimore Sun asked him a few questions, and Bateman is aiming to be Baltimore's number one wide receiver this year. And Bateman said, and I quote, "That's the role I've always wanted to be in. I'm excited to take that role." Now, I think Rashod Bateman is 100% a true number one wide receiver. I said it last year. I said that he should have been starting over Marquise Brown. Now, yes, Brown has been in the league for a couple of years, but I saw Bateman right out of the gate. I saw Bateman come in clutch when they needed him to. Lamar could just throw him pass after pass after pass, and he would make the catches necessary. He would make the adjustments. He would be able to get down the field and really help that team. Now, Bateman obviously wants to be the number one wide receiver, and I think he will be for that Ravens team. Now we're going to move on to another wide receiver, and that's Chase Claypool. And Chase Claypool believes he's a top 3 wide receiver. Now, he was a guest on the I Am Athlete podcast, and Claypool said, and I quote, "I know for a fact I am not like the rest of the guys in the NFL. I know I'm a top 5 receiver. I know I'm a top 3 receiver." Now, this is a bit of a statement here, a bit of a stretch in my opinion. Claypool, yes, he's a good receiver, but saying he's top 3, I mean, that's putting him in the conversation with guys like Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, DeAndre Hopkins, those guys who have been dominating the league for so long. Now, I do believe Claypool is a good number one wide receiver for the Steelers. I believe he can get to that state in a couple of years or so with, a quarterback around him. Maybe Kenny Pickett's that guy to help him reach that limit. But I don't see Claypool being a top 3, top 5, or even top 10 receiver right now in the NFL. It's just a bit of a stretch for Claypool to say he's a top 3 receiver when there's guys like Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp who have been dominating for years. And at the level they've been playing, I don't see Chase Claypool right there at this time. Now, staying with the AFC North, and we're going to move on to the Cincinnati Bengals, where their head coach talked about the Super Bowl, and he was with the Athletics' Jay Morrison and Paul Denver Jr. Now, they spoke to a couple of the players and Taylor, when speaking about one play Cincinnati couldn't make, he said that it was every bad play. And I quote, "When you're not the team that wins it all, I think everything haunts you for the entirety of the offseason. And then you buckle up and get ready to go after it again. And next offseason, there's going to be 31 teams that are haunted by a whole lot of things that they wish they would have gone differently. And that's just life in the NFL." So obviously the Bengals, they were able to make the Super Bowl in a year where nobody had them even winning the division, making the playoffs, or anything of the sort. They shocked the entire NFL. They shocked the world in the story that they were. They were the Cinderella story last year. And led by quarterback Joe Burrow off of an injury, teaming up with his former wide receiver Jamar Chase, they got it done. And now back to the drawing board for Cincinnati, for them to try to find a way to get back to the Super Bowl and back to the state that they were. Lost a couple of players, brought a few players in, but obviously, as Taylor said, they're haunted by the game. And every team is after the season. You get to that level, and sometimes when you don't make the playoffs, you're extremely haunted because you think that your team has a chance to be there and has the fight in them, but you just don't make the playoffs. And then to make it to the Super Bowl and lose how the Bengals did, such a close game with a great team with the Los Angeles Rams, it just really has to sting to make it that far and come up just so short at the end line. Now, sticking with players and some news in this offseason, the New York Jets like Carter a lot. They believe he's a quality back. They've always viewed him as an ideal complement, though in Mike LaFleur's running back by committee, Hall, whom the Jets considered a home run threat, is now Batman to Carter's Robin. The Jets will use both Hall in the lead back. Now, this per Connor Hughes of The Athletic. Now, he came out and said this, and although Michael Carter played so well last year, and Breece Hall is the rookie they drafted, I don't see Breece Hall being that number one back for the New York Jets. So, as respect to Connor Hughes, I have to disagree with this. I think Carter is a better back. Michael Carter played extremely well for the team. I think Michael Carter is their number one running back this year. Breece Hall is the number two. Now, maybe in the future, if Breece Hall comes out and surprises people, he might be able to get to that number one. But I just think the way Michael Carter played last year, the dynamicy he gave to the team, the way he lifted that offense with Elijah Moore, both being rookies, I think that Carter is 100% that number one back for them just because of how well he played last year, how well he fit into the team, and just how dynamic he could be in that New York Jets offense. And then the last bit of news that we had coming in late Monday morning, late Monday afternoon, around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's more news on Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder, who again confirmed he will not testify before the United States Congress House Oversight Committee. Now, this per Tisha Thompson of ESPN. So here we go. Once again, more news on Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders. Once again, it's just so much drama going on in the NFL this offseason. Team to team, owner to owner, players all around. But just like the Deshaun Watson situation, the Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder has been the talk of the NFL over this past offseason. And that's the second biggest story next to the Deshaun Watson situation. And Washington, we've heard they are getting a new stadium. They want to build a bigger stadium that helps out the fans, that looks nicer, that's going to seat less people. To then Dan Snyder and all the allegations against him. To then Washington might have to sell the team. So all of this news coming out of Washington. So drawing nearer to training camp, to the beginning of the NFL season. All of this news is coming out now. And with the NFL season just a few months away, and then we just wrapped up mini camp, all this news needs to be wrapped up so the NFL season can get kicked off and everything is settled. But we all know that's not how it always works. But this, just like Deshaun Watson, is going to loom very close to the NFL season, if not going through the entirety of the NFL season. But that is going to be it for this video. That is going to be it for this quick recap. Now, this is a new series I'm going to be doing on the channel where it's going to be NFL news in under 10 minutes. Unless there are a ton of news in one day, the video should be under 10 minutes. Well, this one is, and that is going to be the first episode of NFL news in 10 minutes.